What's the take-home quiz, you may ask? There were 3 sheets up here, and you collected them, stapled them, and so that was a quiz you take home, and you bring it in tomorrow before you write your test. Okay? You can ask me questions. You can ask your neighbors, classmates, you name it. Okay. So a bit of a review before I jump in. Okay, page 53. Percentile ranking. It's all about comparing you to everybody else, but it focuses on not the numbers above you. It focuses on numbers that are below you. Okay, that's what it focuses on. So, for example, let me see if there's a blank page here. I may have to just do this right over here on page 53. You know what? I'm going to move on to 54. Better yet, I'm going to go to 56 and come back to 54. Sorry, I know I'm scrambling a little bit, but I want to use my time strategically here. Go to 56. 56. You're ready, right? Thomas scored 29.5 out of 40 on his test. He knows that out of his class of 35 students, he scored higher than 18 students. Okay. State Thomas's score on his test as a percentage. So here we're going to try to make a point here that Thomas's score is just 29.5 out of 40. I want to remind you here, because I'm taken back to home finance or anything. When you're trying to find percentage, guys, the biggest number is where? Denominator, always. Like you cannot have, if you're trying to find percentage, you want the biggest number in the denominator. So 29.5 divided by 40 times 100, that is our test score as a percentage. So we go and do that. There we go, 73.75% was the test score. That's not a percentile ranking. This is just the test score. Okay. B. What percentile does Thomas's test place him compared to the class? You should think, when it's percentile rank or percentile, you should think of this formula immediately. Okay? You're like, okay, that formula, okay, what does B stand for again? Number of values that are below, okay? In this case, what would that, where would we find that information? This is right here. He scored higher than 18 students, right? So this is, it's just basically saying Thomas is here, right? And everybody else, right? 18 below, okay? There are 18 students that scored below Thomas. We don't know their exact scores, but in this case, it actually doesn't matter. We just know that 18 are below. So here we go. B is 18, N is all of them, 35 students. So here we are. We're ready to calculate this. If you know what to grab, it's super easy. Let's see if you're awake enough. Oops, to catch my mistake right now. Let's see. Two things are wrong with that. If it's percentile ranking. Can't have this and whole number. Yeah. Whole number. So that's also wrong, right? So we're going to kind of make a correction. So it is supposed to be 51 or 52. You don't have to do both, okay? Some students answer 51 or 52. I'm just telling you, you can pick either this one or this one, 51st or 52nd percentile. So it's about half, 51 or 52% of students scored below Thomas. His score on the test was actually 73.75, but percentile rank tells us that, let's say 51% of students scored less than Thomas. Okay, and Thomas's actual score is 73.75%. Okay, let's keep going. I'm going to flip the page here. Let's go to 58. I want you to do those 3 questions right now on your own. Okay, so you do ABC, and I'll come and check how you're doing. So make sure you attempt it. Is this a range? There is a range. So that's something to keep in mind, right? Makes it a lot easier. So this one is just 50. Just leave it like that. You can do 50th like that, or you can go PR 50 or P50. And the reason why I'm giving all of them to you is because if they have a question where it says, hey, someone's weight puts them at a PR 50, then you're like, I know that's the 50th percentile, right? It's just weird the way to do it. So PR for this weight, there is one only that is below, and that is that comes up to 7 something, right? So 7 or 8. Okay. So that means that only 7 or 8% of babies weigh less. Okay. Okay, I just want to say this one more time. It's in comparison to everybody else, in comparison to the babies that are considered here. It doesn't necessarily mean that you don't weigh much or if you're very heavy or not. It doesn't necessarily mean that. Okay, percentile rank for the heaviest baby. So that would be, if you consider the heaviest 4420, that means that 13 are below and then 14. So that's, I need a calculator for that one. Can't handle that one. So that's 92.8. So it's okay to do this, right? But then you just want to state 92 or 93. Okay, 92nd or 93rd. And so that's how you do those. Okay, I'm going to use the bottom of this to just quickly illustrate or maybe make a note. Is it possible? I like to have a bar here, right? This is the top, this is the bottom of like 0. Is it possible to score? Can you score 50% on a test and be in the, let's say, 99th percentile? Is it possible? Write this down. It's important. On page 58 at the bottom there. Can you score 50% on a test but still be in the 99th percentile? It is totally possible. See, the 99th percentile, right, means that 99% of the class scored less than what? Less than 50%. That's what the percentile rank tells us. If you have a percentile attached to a score, that is what it tells us. So you would be like way up here. This is you. You scored 50%. And everybody else is below, right? 99% below. What does that tell you about the test? If you scored 50%, but you scored better than most, like 99%, it was a really hard test. That's what that tells you. Okay. So keep that in mind, because it doesn't always mean that you did amazing on the test. It just means that compared to everybody else, you did better. But it doesn't mean that you necessarily did well. Okay, so it just ranks you based on everybody else. Keep that concept in mind. Percentile rank compares you to everybody else, which we shouldn't be doing, but here we do it. Anyways, that's something to remember. I will actually put like if you flip through this, it's like nice summer day in August and you're bored, right? You flip through this, you'd be like, oh yeah. I'm just kidding. You're probably going to use this to light a campfire or something. Okay. One more. Okay. One more curveball here. So I'm going to keep flipping. Go to page 63. Go to page 63 here. I will say this. At the very top, write down percentiles with tables. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh yeah, this is weighted mean, Mr. Dirksen. I'm going to get mad here because you see a table, right? But you're like, wait a minute, let's keep reading. It says the outdoor sporting goods store for McMurray sells different sizes of gloves, right? This table indicates, right, the size and the number of pairs that have been sold. Donnette bought herself a size 7.5 gloves. What is you keep reading and you realize this is not weighted mean. This is percentile rank. What's the percentile rank of her glove size compared to this information here? Let's try this. What is B and what is N? Those are the only two things you need for percentile rank. Let's see if you're with me here. Would you be able to figure out how many pairs of gloves were sold or how many hand sizes are there that are less than 7.5? Where's 7.5? It's right here. So 7 and 6.5, those sizes are obviously less than. But you have to be careful. 10 pairs were sold of 6.5, and 25 pairs were sold of size 7. So you have to add these up. This is where you're going to get your B from. So I'm going to go 10 plus 25. So I got 35 pairs of gloves, pairs that are, right, smaller than 7.5. And what is my total number of gloves that were considered? You just add up all the pairs that were sold, right? So we're going to add up this whole row here to figure that out. So let's try that. This is already 35 plus 57 plus 32 plus 21 plus 8. It's 153. I'm going to put it right on the table here first. Pairs. And then I'm going to bring this over here. Total. And now you're ready to do your, so nothing changes. It's just the way they present the information to you is different. That's all. Okay. So we go PR. 35 over 153 times 100. Grab your calculator. It's 22.87 and something, but we will say 22, 22nd, or 23rd. It's up to you. So comparatively speaking, in this set, her hand size is probably, like, compared to everybody else, on the smaller side, right? Because only 22% of glove sizes are less than hers, which means that how many would be above, you think? If 22 are less, take it away from 100%. Because remember, 100%, 22 below, so that means that you've got 78% above. But we always focus on the below in this case. Donette bought her son size 9 gloves. What is the percentile rank for his son's size? Try that real quick. And then try answering C and D as well. D should be a very easy one, to be honest. D. And but C will probably, if you're not quite sure, leave that for me. I'm going to answer that in a bit. Okay. Give you a different perspective on tables. Okay. Imagine that this store kept track of every size that is sold, and they have 10 6.5s. So 6.5, 6.5, 6.5. So imagine all of these numbers being like laid out as like just this big chunk of numbers. So 10 6.5s, 25 7s. That's what you would see in the mix, right? And so instead of doing that, it's just organized in this table form, right? So then maybe that'll help you visualize this a bit more. So in total, there are 153 numbers, individual numbers, that range between 6.5 and 9 that you could expect in the mix. So for size 9, the PR, we are still dealing with 153 pairs. That doesn't change. So we just have to figure out, right? We have to add up either all of these here, or just take 153 and subtract 8 from it. That will also give you this. Can anybody help me on that one? 145? Okay, thank you. I'm just seeing if you actually did it. That was just a trick there. 145 divided by 153. So that's 94.77, which you would say 94th or 95th. Okay. If you're not sure, just go to number. That's fine. But do not put a percent on it. And I know you'll be tempted, A, because it's the exam, so you're tense, and B, because, hey, every time Mr. Dirksen multiplies by 100, he puts a percentage on there. That's why I want you to have, you're listening to this, right? I want you to have this formula on your study sheet telling yourselves that. No decimals, no percent. Because on the formula sheet that you get, there's none of that on there, okay? So it'd be a shame to lose marks because of that. Let's just put it that way. Next, this is important. These are like 1 markers, but they're all, explain why a percentile rank can never be 100 or greater. Because the value in question is part of the set, right? You can't have 153 over 153, right? Because you'd be like, well, no, well, we're not. Like if I ask you for any size, if I ask you for any of the sizes, there are going to be numbers that are less than you, right? Always. There's always going to be something less than you. So it cannot be, because you are lower than yourself. I know it doesn't make sense, but that's what it's supposed to do here. If you put 153 in there, then you're saying you, the number being considered, is lower than yourself, which can't be. Like, you are the number, everybody else compares to that one. Okay, so you can't say that. What's the mode here? Anybody? What's the most popular size that is sold based on the table? 7.5, right? 7.5. Sold 57 pairs. Voila. There we go. All right. Let's try this on page 64 here real quick. Can you calculate the average? I'm reviewing for the test already, by the way. Using this table, go back down where it says review, bottom half of this page on page 64. It says calculate the average income using the table above. So you're using weighted mean. So you're going to get mad, right? So use that table and figure out the weighted mean, the average income with a table, the table up here. Can you do that? You should be able to. Right now, we just want to make sure you absolutely 100% you can nail this, right? If I give a question like this to you. So go for it. Let's say 3 minutes. It shouldn't take you longer than 3 to 4 minutes. I'm going to time this, 2:45. So challenge yourselves. Multiply, add, divide. $300. Remember that. 3.5%. Okay. So mad. I multiplied everything. I got these numbers. Then I started adding them down here. So unfortunately, it's very far apart, right? So are these numbers good? Let it go. Let it go. Anyways, it's on the video if you want to watch it again in your spare time. I multiply everything. Are these numbers good? Yeah, everybody's nodding. So I start adding them. Now the question is, what am I going to divide by? That's always the kicker here. So you do the unit analysis. You went money times employees. That's what you were multiplying this whole time. What do you want to keep? It says calculate the average what? Income. That to me is money, right? You want money to stay. So you're going to divide by the number of employees to cancel out. Okay, so let's go add up our employees. That's 15, 26, 29. Is that 29? Okay, 29 employees. If you know how to do this, you are in pretty good shape if you remembered how to do that. Okay, so we're going to divide by 29. What do we get when we add up the whole thing? 925. Okay, 925,000 divided by 29, and we get 31,896. Thank you, thank you. We good? Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah, sure. Whatever you say. So that's the average income. Yeah, thank you. There we go. I'm too excited for the weekend. I don't know, even though it's not going to be nice, but um, we're sprinting a little bit. Like you're gonna feel it, but hang in there, work hard. I will try my best to bring it all back up, all those concepts we've covered, but you need to stay in there. You need to do your part as well. Okay. Okay. Um, I need to do. Let me see here. we're going to go to page 61. And this is the last thing I do today, I promise. So 10 minutes max. 61. And after that, I want you to work, okay? You're not just going to sit back and relax because that time is coming. Right now, we're still working. Work, work, work. If you must. Okay. Percentiles backwards. What in the world does that mean? You should already know what backwards means at this point. Use the formula, and we're going to go backwards. We're not going to calculate it. We're going to be given the percentile rank. Go back. 61. Page 61. You ready? It's actually not that bad. It's not that bad at all because it's a very comprehensive formula. St. Boniface is weighing all babies born in the hospital. Daniel is 7 weeks old and his weight placed him in the 70th percentile. That should ring a bell for you. 70th percentile. Are you ready for this though? The province could have been, it places him in the PR 70. No problem. You know it's 70th percentile. Okay. What does that mean? Being in the 70th percentile. Remember, it focuses on what's less, so it means that 70% of babies weigh less than Daniel. 70% of babies weigh less than Daniel. Do we know Daniel's weight? No idea. Oh, it's a trimmer. Anyways, 200 babies. So if there are, okay, question. If there are 200 babies, how many weigh less than Daniel? How many? So start with this one. PR is equal to B over N times 100. You ready? So we're going to put the 70, this 70, get an arrow in here. We're going to plug that in there. So the 70 goes in there. And B, we don't know. We do know 200 babies. There are 200 babies, so we're going to go 200 times 100. So you know everything except for one thing. What are we going to do next? I'm going to focus on this 100. I'm going to divide this by 100. Divide this by 100. That's your first step. What's that? Question? Oh, no. Okay, you were just... 70 divided by 100 is 0.7. B over 200. What does this look like? You've been learning this since grade 10. Cross, multiply, and divide. Yes, my magic here is putting the 1 there. Doesn't change a thing. Hey, the magic of the power of 1. Multiply, divide. 200 times 0.7. I'm breaking the lead 2/10 today. 140 babies weigh less. Way less. We have no idea what the weight is, guys. Not a single time that they talk about what the weight is, and that we don't care about that. We just want to know how many weigh less, what's the total. So there you have it. 140 babies weigh less. We use the formula. Okay. Let's keep going. If there are, okay. Oh, this is completely. Emily's weight puts her in the 55th percentile. Highlight that part. If 45 babies weigh less than Emily, 45 babies weigh less than Emily. How many babies were there? So this is your PR. This is out of B and N, which letter would you give this one? Between B and N. B, way less. What, right? Like, so there we have it. B is 45, PR is 55. Bingo. So we have everything except for N. So we're going to go PR. I'm going to start with my formula. B over N times 100. It's every single time it's the same thing. You put the 55 in there. That's B over N times 100. Oh, sorry. B, we know, that's 45. 45 goes in here. What are we going to do first? What's the first step you want to get rid of? You want to get rid of the times 100 every single time. So we're going to divide by 100, divide by 100. Cancel out. This gives you 0.55. And you have 45 over N. Does that still look like cross multiply and divide? You bet. Except for now you don't know what N is. You put the 1 underneath. Which way are you multiplying? You're going diagonal, 45 times 1. That's the first step, and then you're going to divide by 55.55. So 45 times 1 divided by 0.55. N should be bigger than B, correct? Always. So if you do this math and you're like, wait a minute, why is N smaller than, doesn't make sense. Because this is the total, right? So 45 divided by 0.55. That's, oh, what? What? Can't be, right? So we have to round it. So we'll say approximately 81 or 82. So this is just a scenario where you're given B, you're solving for N. The other one, you were given N, you were solving for B. But the way you approach it is exactly the same. We're almost there. We're almost there. I'm just finishing this page and then it's all up to you. Let's see if you can figure this one out. This one is trickier, hence all the stars there. If there are a total of 250 babies, that's N. This is N. 5 weigh the same as Leanne. 60 weigh more than Leanne. Calculate the percentile rank for Leanne. Okay? So imagine this. 250 total. 60 weigh more than Leanne. So this is Leanne. 60 weigh more. 5 weigh exactly the same as Leanne. So we need to figure out this. This is our question mark, because this is B. How many weigh less than Leanne? Okay. So let's see. How could we figure out B in this case? Start subtracting. Start subtracting. You know it's 250 total, correct? We're going to go minus this 60 that weigh more than Leanne, minus all the babies that weigh exactly the same as Leanne. And there's one more. Who do we have to take away from the lower than? Leanne herself, minus 1. Mr. Erickson, is there a question like this? Not exactly like this, but these are like the toughest ones that you're going to encounter where you have to do a little bit of subtracting. So 250 minus 60 minus 5. Focus more on the other ones. Those are going to be way more prevalent. So 184 babies weigh less. And what's my total? Still 250. Or not still, but 250 babies total. So here we go, PR. 184 over 250 times 100. .6 cannot have that, so you say 73rd percentile. Why does it have to be that complicated? Well, it's just in case. Okay, I'm gonna say, if you want to practice more percentile ranking, 62 all the way to 65. Actually, all the way to 67. Percentiles. Write that down. It's percentiles specific. Can't see that. There it is. .62 to 67 percentiles only. I'll post the keys shortly. But right now, if you want to work on the quiz, take-home quiz, there's some percentile in that as well.